Hi, hello, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Rose, and I am on a weight loss journey. First of all, welcome to 2026. This is my first video of the new year, mostly because we've kind of been passing around sickness, and I've been either taking care of my child, myself, or my husband. So, been a little bit of a rough start to the year, but I think that's just gonna be the standard for a minute. But I thought I would come on and discuss some of my wins so far in the last couple of weeks and my thoughts on the scale. So far, it's really been since Christmas when I got just decimated with the stomach flu. But I'm going to count it starting January 1, just for the sake of easy math. I have not gone off the rails and over-consumed food in a uncontrollable way. I have not binged on a single substance, which is, hi whiskey, so freaking cool. It has been, again, for the sake of easy math, I'm just going to say January 1 was that date. So it has been 19 days that I have been sober, I suppose. I have had a few meals that were definitely bigger than they should have been, but nothing anywhere close to the definition of a problem. Obviously, bigger portion sizing is a problem, but it's not a... It's something that I can learn to overcome. It's not something that is an uncontrollable shark to blood kind of frenzy. So we love that for me. I have not lost weight, but I also haven't gained any weight. So I am still sitting at about 276. And I have been weighing myself almost daily just to kind of see where I'm at. And I have noticed a very interesting trend with my chronic illness and the scale. So I have a plethora of stuff. I'm 6'1", and I have a back that is disintegrating. I have degenerative disc disease. I've got postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. I've got POTS. I have chronic migraines. I have a whole bunch of things that affect the ecosystem that is Rose. And I have noticed in the last couple of days, specifically, I had one of my discs in my back. Not entirely sure, but it's now just a little spot of pain. It's a little hot spot of pain and inflammation in my back. It kind of felt like the disc slipped and is now pressing on the sciatic nerve, which is... It's been an adjustment getting used to this pain right now, but I noticed the next morning. So this it happened one evening before bed, which was probably the best time for it to happen because I can just lay down, take some Advil stuff and just let my body work out the inflammation itself. But I had a giant, like tennis ball sized spot of inflammation pretty much immediately on my spine. And I noticed the next morning I was up 4 pounds. Which brings me to kind of what I wanted to ramble about today, is placing too much importance on the scale. So, as things go, scales are a great measure of mass in totality. Obviously, they don't account for things like lean muscle mass or, in my case, random bouts of extreme inflammation. But and historically, I have tied my worth to the scale, and I think a lot of people have a tendency to do that because that really is what is available to gauge how you're doing for yourself at home. I have spent a lifetime allowing that small rectangle dictate a lot, and I think, at least for me, it was the test for how my day was gonna go. If I started off and I saw that I gained weight, especially that several pound jump of where you are at in your cycle, or in my case, chronic BS, and it would just decimate my whole day. It would start whatever I had to do that day just off on the wrong foot, and I would just beat myself up for the entire day, and I wouldn't weigh myself again for like 3 or 4 days in hopes that, the next time I stepped on, I wasn't going to get mad at the scale. And then, the cycle continues because, 3 or 4 days, unless you're in a pretty good deficit, you're not going to see a whole lot of difference, right? And, as I am trying to go through my life and develop new coping skills, new strategies on how to be successful, I'm really trying to retrain that mindset to just be, it's a gauge on how I'm doing, not the gauge on how I'm doing. So I have just started weighing myself about every day, sometimes every other day, and I am just writing down every single weight. Doesn't matter if I've gained poundage on the scale, doesn't matter if I've lost. For me, I won't celebrate a loss until I've hit that same number like 3 consecutive days in a row. Just because then I don't get mad at the scale when it inevitably swings higher because of my inflammation. And I've started noticing some trends. So like right now it is wintertime. My body, like I can feel it in even just my finger joints. Like my body really does not do well in this season. In the cold, I have a lot more inflammation. I have all the aches that you would assume a elderly human would have, I have. And with that comes inflammation. That's part of what hurts, is the inflammation in your body. And I'm just noticing that, like, the couple of days before a storm, my body is going to be 2 pounds higher. And then as soon as the storm hits, the next day I will be, 1.5 pounds or so lower, pound, whatever. Like, the numbers change, but I am consistently still around, at this point in time, I'm still consistently around 276, which tells me that I am somewhere around, probably at 276. And what I am starting to notice with actively, consciously retraining my brain to not think the scale is my enemy, but it's just a number, is I don't care. It's, I step on it in the morning, first, well, not the first thing I do in the morning, but it's one of the first things I do in the morning. And I can go, oh, well, yeah, okay, that makes sense. I'm feeling this kind of way in my body today, or, yeah, I did eat a lot of food yesterday, so, like, makes sense, like, we'll revisit it tomorrow. Or I see a loss and I go, oh, well, that means I've been doing good lately. And it's just, it's becoming less emotionally charged and more just a metric to to make sure that I am eating in a deficit and taking care of my body. Because when the weight change fluxes hugely from one day to the next, I know that that's not me. That is something that's going on in my body, which also allows me to really take in what I need to, not only nutritionally wise, but also medication wise. If I'm showing 3 or 4 pounds of inflammation, I need to start a strategic regimen of Advil and then, Tylenol swapping at the appropriate intervals that I have been told to do. It also is a great gauge on how my day is going to go. Not because I care what the scale says, but because it's a good indication of what my body can do for the day. If my body has more inflammation, I am going to have less ability to do the things I need to do. And the less inflammation I have, the more ability I have to do a couple of extra things. And I gotta say, I was not expecting this shift to really happen in 19 days. I expected the shift to be a very painful tooth pulling process for the first quarter. And it's really kind of cool to see that, if you want to change, it really is just small changes, mindset changes, all the things you tell yourself is what you're going to internalize. So if you tell yourself, that scale is just a number, it's just a metric to see how your body is functioning today or yesterday, because, I weighed myself in the morning, right? It's a good predictor of how today is going to go, instead of I need this number to validate who I am, is huge. And I hate to admit that I am, 32 years old and just figuring out how to internalize this message. But I gotta say, I don't really care, because I am progressing in a direction that I want to go. So, for the rest of the month and, rest of the quarter really, so the next February, March, we are going to really focus on portion control, really nailing down, weighing my food out, making sure that it's all good and dandy. And then in Q2, we are really going to add in some more small habits. I'm still working up getting to doing workouts. And I know I've said that for 3 months straight. But when my body breaks as easily as it does, sometimes the only movement I can do is what I have to do during the day. I don't have the energy or the ability to go out and go it above and beyond, which is why my food is such an important thing to get down, because really the weight on your body is from the kitchen. How your body looks is exercise, lifting the strong things, lifting the heavy things, putting the heavy things back down, and all of that goodness. So we're going to get there. It's going to take me a minute. I think I really need to get back into pushing my body to get as close to 7,000 steps as possible, which is difficult for me right now. So maybe that's the next goal before I set up a workout schedule, just to keep my body moving and getting through some of these flares that I tend to suffer through during the winter months. But that's really kind of what I wanted to work through is, if you're like me and you struggle with your identity and how it ties to stepping on that scale, I see you, I feel you, I am you, and I am 100% rooting for you in everything that you do, and I wish you the most success that you could ever hope for. And I will see you guys on the next one. Bye.